Welcome to episode 11, where I talk about getting comfortable being uncomfortable. In this episode, I talk about how we have certain barriers that have been set, whether it's from our childhood, whether it's from our adulthood, whatever the case may be, that get in the way of us achieving the goals and the things that we want to achieve in life. Dave Ramsey says we have to live like no one else so we can live like no one else. And so I hope in this episode I express myself and articulate myself well enough for you to push past the things that you need to do in order for you to get where you want to get. Please visit our site at www.richstateofmind.com, where we provide content on real estate, personal finances, and self-development. Share your story and information by posting a blog on our site so that the Rich State of Mind community continues to grow in knowledge. You can also follow our Instagram page at rich_state brand to find out about exclusive offers and discount promotions for our apparel. Don't quit. Before you even start, we often use these words: we can't, I don't know how, I don't like it, it's too hard. All you need to do is take some time to research and you can figure it out. Use your resources. The drive comes from within. You can't outsource before you even try. That's first of all. Once you tell yourself, I can, I will, I know, get your hands dirty. Push past that place where you have gained a little bit of confidence from. Get back to the place of being uncomfortable because you just started. Challenge yourself to the next level. Now's not the time to celebrate. Have you made your $1,000,000 yet? If no, keep pushing. If you have, then what do you got to do to keep that flowing? You have to surround yourself around people who are like you, people who want that, what you want, who are already there. You have to walk amongst kings if you want to be a king. You have to walk amongst queens if you want to be a queen. You can learn from just humbling yourself and seeking guidance and listening. This could be the most challenging for some, just getting out of your shell. Nothing comes easy. If it's too easy, something isn't right and it won't last for long. Once you look at all that you have accomplished and you have checked off many goals, you can see that all that you went through was worth it. It starts with getting up and pushing yourself, knowing that it isn't going to be an easy path, knowing that from the beginning is half the battle. Knowing that from the beginning is half the battle. Being prepared and executing is the other half. See what you've done so far, take a deep breath and start all over again, and don't get comfortable. I want to tell y'all a story of somebody that I know or knew, and this is all the way back as far as 2010, and this is a good example of staying in your comfort zone and watching the rest of the world just kind of evolve and advance past you, and in this case, your peers, right? And then later on, you feel like, what have I done? This person, when I met them, they were making $10 an hour. And this is not to say that money is a clear definition of progress in life, but money is definitely an easy way to use as a metaphor, using as an example. This person was making $10 an hour. 10 years later, now they make $12.50, right? And so I was talking to my sisters about this the other day, about that person over a 10-year span had a 25-cent increase in income annually every year up until this year. And I explained to them that that is the definition of staying in your comfort zone. Now, the only reason why that person went from $10 an hour back in 2010 and $12.50 an hour in 2020 was the fact of inflation. And I feel like even inflation has made other jobs go up even higher than that. But I was explaining to them that you can't let the world just breeze past you. All the goals that you have that you want to set, all these dreams that you said you wanted to do when you were 17, 18 years old, before life punched you in the face and you realize that things were not as easy as it was. All these people that we see are so successful, a lot of times you see the after effect. You don't see all the things that they had to do to get there. And it's all about consistency. We sometimes shoot ourselves in the foot because we're afraid of failure. Because when we do something after a week, 2 weeks, maybe a couple months, it doesn't work out, and then we give up, and then we say we're a failure. A lot of things take years of practice, years of research, years of time before it blows up. And after that, it all works out. But you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Always put yourself in situations that will help you grow. When you feel like you've mastered something, you start getting complacent. It's natural. It's natural to get like, I'm the man, I'm the girl, I got it, I got this. Okay, for how long are you going to do that? And so for this person's case, because of their being afraid, because of their insecurities, because of them doubting themselves, they have allowed a decade to go past and not reach the maximum potential that they could have done because they want to be comfortable, right? But then we all want these nice things in life. My son always tells me he wants to buy his mom a car. He wants to buy, me a house or whatever. And I explain to him, this takes hard work. When I have him go to my properties with me and we're sanding down countertops and we're laying down floor, I want him to experience those things with me because I want him to see that daddy had to work hard in order to get what you got. The things that are given to you are not something that every kid gets. And that the reason why daddy has become as affluent as he has is because of the work that he put in. So that when he gets in that position, he knows, if I want to do such and such, if I want to get to this particular status, I got to put in the time. I got to put in the work. We don't explain that to our kids about the time that has to be put in, the work that has to be put in to be exceptional. We explain to them, yes, go ahead and go to college, get this particular safe job, go ahead, go to the military, do this, right? Everything is do it the safe way, right? But we tell our kids, hey, do it this way, and it is a risk, but if you bust your behind, it'll work out. And always have a backup plan too. Because you definitely don't want to, shoot for everything and then you don't have nothing to fall back on because life happens. And like my grandma said, you still got to make sure you have enough money to eat a pork chop. But you have to make sure that you don't get complacent. You have to make sure that you always are pushing yourself to be better. I used to not like talking in front of people. I don't like public speaking. But I had to put myself in front of those people in those situations to get better so that I could get past that threshold because I want to be an influence to my family, to younger people, to peers, to even older people. Because as I've realized, there are a lot of people out there that are not educated and not exposed to a particular set of lifestyle. We are exposed to the poverty side where people are huffing it, hustling and working, and then TV exposes us to the completely other side of, being exceptionally rich because I'm a football player, basketball player, rapper, but none of those people in the middle that had to grind to get where they got. Those we call them middle class millionaires. They're not famous, but they're wealthy, or they have done the things that they want set in life to be successful in their own way. I feel like those people are not advertised enough to enlighten enough people to be educated on what it actually takes to be successful in everybody's own way. It could be you being successful as a voice actor. It doesn't have to be nothing that's this spicy, well entertaining thing, but understanding your craft, taking chances on yourself, right? Always finding a way to get better. Don't ever forget that. And I think about over the last 10 years what you've done with yourself. Even the last 5. Have you gotten better in any way possible towards what your final dream is? If you want to be a better leader, you want to be better at filing paper, you want to be better at marketing, you want to be better at fixing cars. What have you done to make yourself better in that way? Have you gotten yourself out of your comfort zone to be a well-rounded fill in the blank? When we don't do that, we allow, and then we get mad when other people advance around us, or we we kind of suck the energy out of people that want to that are doing the things that we want to do, but we're not putting forth the effort. Those are us that ask somebody for advice on, hey, how did you get to that place? How did you get, that far in your career? And then the minute they tell you, hey, well, and this is a real estate, well, I use this as a real estate example. A lot of people ask a lot of successful real estate people, hey, how did you get to this place? Or I would like to work with you. The minute they tell them, hey, if you want to get to where I'm got, for me to see that you're serious, I want you to knock on 100 doors and ask people if they want to sell their home. 99% of the people do not follow through because they're uncomfortable speaking to people. They're uncomfortable talking to strangers. They're uncomfortable with getting rejection. Same thing with cold calls when it comes to cold calling for leads to see if people want to sell their homes. They're uncomfortable. You break past that barrier and the doors will open. Break past that barrier that's setting you back to go to the next level. And you'll be glad that you did so. Because if not, then you'll be wishing and hope and always looking back, shoulda, coulda, woulda. How many times have you met that one person that they're in their 50s, 40s, 60s, 70s saying, I wish I was 30 years younger, I would have did it this way, right? Or they even tell you, if you're blessed enough to be ahead of your years, or wise beyond your years, somebody says that, you're wise beyond your years. Look at the things that you've done. I wish I had the head on my shoulders that I had, that you have at your age. I don't want to go through life looking at the years, and you shouldn't either. Going through the years, looking back. What did I do in 2020? Okay, yeah, it was COVID. COVID was going on. Did I put myself in uncomfortable positions that I'm not used to doing and adapting to the things that happened this year to still make progress? Would you probably have been slowed down a bit because of 2020? Of course. It probably has slowed down some people and made people have to recalibrate, adjust to the situation. But do not let things get in the way from you still making progress in some way. That's the thing. That's the difference between those that are successful and those that are mediocre. Always having an excuse as to why they didn't do something is when it's really, I'm not comfortable doing it. I don't feel like doing it. I'm tired, right? Dave Ramsey said that he wrote his book in the hours between 10 o'clock at night and 2 o'clock in the morning. And that's because he still had a family to take care of. So the hours that he would like to have been asleep, he made himself uncomfortable. And in being uncomfortable, he ended up being successful. You have to think about that. You have to put in the extra time. You have to put in the extra hours. And a lot of us are in that boat, me included. I have a family. I'm trying to go to college. I have a full-time job. And then on top of that, I'm trying to build a brand. I'm trying to build a business. So what does that require? I can't do that in the regular hours of the day. I have to stay up late and put in the time, do the research in order to progress in that particular field. Why? I still got a family to take care of. Like I still got to go to college, knock out my college. We have a problem with making excuses for ourselves. And don't get me wrong, is it tough to do everything that you want to do at the same time or trying to multitask all our responsibilities? Yes. Because a lot of us would say, I wish I could go back when I was 20 and I would have waited till I got married. I would have waited till I had kids. But for a lot of us, we ain't got that luxury. And we still have dreams. We still have hopes. So what are we doing now to make sure that we're able to accomplish those things? Are we waking up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to make sure we PT? For those of you who don't know, PT is physical training. Because we got to make sure we stay healthy. After that, we go to work. After that, what are we doing after work? Are we sitting down, we watching TV about watching other people's lives, making them richer? Or are we doing something about ourselves, making ourselves better, investing in ourselves so that we can be more developed and we can become better in our craft? I think about that $10 an hour in 2010 and $12.50 in 2020. And it's bigger than me than just a $2.50 difference in income. It's way bigger than that. It speaks out so many different adjectives. Don't be that person that between 10 years you only increased by $2.50. And that's more than what I'm just saying as far as regarding the money. Don't hold yourself back. Make the right decisions, because you're gonna always wish, I wish I did better. I wish at this time, if I could have just pushed myself a little bit more. For those of us in the military, how many times we do a PRT and we see the time that we ran that mile and a half, and we could have, after we get the time, we're like, man, I could have did more. I could have pushed a little bit harder. Looking back, I could have stayed up another 30, 45 minutes, and I would have got done what I needed to get done. I think those are the things that hurt us. Think about it. How passionate are you about the thing that you're trying to accomplish? If you don't want it bad enough to where you're willing to lose sleep, to where you're willing to sacrifice, you know, socializing with others, then you don't want it that bad. If you don't get emotional thinking about what that thing could do for you and your family, then maybe it ain't worth losing sleep. Maybe you do need to find another passion. If this was your only thing that you wanted to accomplish in life, one of your biggest things, then what are you doing to make sure that that happens? I'm so passionate about making sure I set a foundation for my family that will live on for generations that it makes me cry. I get emotional thinking about it. It's part of the reason why I've even stayed in the Navy. I want to be able to make sure that I break generational curses at this generation. And if anything moving forward, let it be something new. But the stuff that's been hindering my family for two, three, four generations, I want it to be wiped out within my generation. And I'm doing everything I can to do that. Think about it like that. How are you going to change your family tree when you make this life decision to put both feet in? A lot of people got one foot in, one foot out. You got to have both feet in. You got to be bought into what you're doing, because if you're not bought in, the people that will overlap you. They'll lap you over and over and over again. They'll come back and see you 5 years later and be like, "Damn, dude, what you been doing? I know we started at this point, but I done moved so far. We can't even relate anymore. What's going on?" That's how bad I want it, and that's how bad you should want it. Make that sacrifice. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family. You owe it to the people that you don't know look up to you. Us being on social media, I didn't realize how many people actually look up to what you do. Now, on social media, they say statistically you're more likely to see somebody's real personality on social media than you actually are in real life. And so when people see the real you and what you're doing, and you're just doing it because that's what you love, this is your passion. You don't realize how many other people you inspire to do more, to be better. It makes you relatable because they know from looking at your life, even though social media shouldn't be what we all use as somebody basis of somebody's life, but they look at your life on social media and they say, "Damn, this person was able to do that. They got 3 kids, single mom. They got a full family, full-time job. I know the things. I know how. What type of neighborhood he grew up from, and he or she was able to do X, Y, and Z." You got to get up in the morning. That's the first thing you want to do is be better. How can I develop? How can I be a better wife, a better husband, a better boyfriend, better at my job? You cannot go through life trying to be mediocre. You cannot go through life trying to just slide by. That is not the way to be proficient. That is not how you will advance in life, and you will always be overlooked. Life does not provide handouts. Sometimes you get blessings. Sometimes you get mercy. But at the end of the day, it's all about do you provide results? The world doesn't care about what your best is. It cares about what are you able to provide. And if whatever you are able to provide is a service, then you get accepted. Throughout that time, it has to be that's why it has to be something that you truly believe in, you truly are passionate about. Because when you project it out, it's organic. but you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable to get to that point. There's sometimes when I start to speak negative about a particular thing, I'm like, damn, this is how much time I got to put into this. Man, I feel like giving up. And I have to tell myself, or even my business partner has to tell me, hey, dog, you could do it like this, or this just takes time. There are certain factors sometimes that you can't control, but as long as you're doing what you got to do, you're always at least going to be moving in the right direction at a steady pace. Everything's not a get rich quick. Everything's not handed. You don't open your door and you see success like a package on your front door, like an Amazon package. That's not how it works. And I think as you get older, as you go through in life, some of y'all may see that. I feel passionate about this topic because throughout my whole life, I've always been put in something uncomfortable, whether it was psychological, emotional, or physically. I've always been in a situation where it's been very uncomfortable and I had to find a way to adapt to it. And in some way, shape, or form, I've figured out a way to get better from it somehow, right? It's not perfect. I don't come out smooth as butter. There is some jadedness. There is some rugged edges, but you smooth that out by self-analyzing, by saying, hey, okay, looking back, what could I have done better so that next time I go through this is a whole lot better, and I don't have particular scars, right? Because the things that sometimes the things that we go through are also self-inflicted, right? And then we get bitter from our own self-infliction. We a great analogy I even heard today, right? Consider life giving us a gun, and the bullets are the mistakes that we make, or the time that we let pass when we don't take advantage of the opportunities that are given us. So I put one bullet in because I didn't wake up an hour early so I can make sure that I PT. I put another bullet in there because instead of eating right, I wanted to eat pizza. I put another bullet in there, and instead of taking an hour to do my homework, I got on my PlayStation 4. Put another bullet in there, and then instead of doing research on marketing, I want to play on Instagram. And I put two more bullets in there for something else I wanted to do to screw up the rest of my time. Now I don't filled up my 6-shooter. And so at any point in time, I shoot myself in the foot. You have to think about it like that. You don't get but so many times you can make mistakes, miss opportunities before you shot yourself in the foot to where it makes it so much harder to bounce back. Now, this is not to say all this to make it stressful, to make it seem like you have a lot on your shoulders, but it's to put things in perspective that you are in control of a lot of the things that come your way. It's funny how when you create an opportunity, more opportunities just somehow start to flow in, right? It's funny when you start to be positive, positive things start to happen to you. When you put in extra work, you start to see the results of that work. I hear a lot of people saying that, they feel like the world is against you. I had a young man that I had a discussion with that about 2 years ago, and he was 18 at the time, and he was telling me how he felt like the world was against him. He was telling me how he was conforming to what the world already had a preconceived notion about him already, right? And so instead of coming out of his comfort zone to figure out how to adapt and overcome the preconceived notion that people had about him, and I feel like what he felt about himself, he continued to he continued to conform to that idea, and then it ended up hurting him in the process. And so, in some ways, it's not just a physical aspect; it's a psychological aspect, it's an emotional aspect. How are you holding yourself back? And it doesn't just have to be towards being successful in life as far as income. Emotionally, how are you setting yourself back? Psychologically, how are you setting yourself back? This world is set up for you to succeed. This world is set up for you to figure out a way to come on top. Now, is it harder for some than others? Of course it is. Of course it is. But I think that's why I really want to start this podcast, because it's all about exposure. There are some things that we just don't know because we don't know. We're not exposed to it. And there's some of the smartest people out there that if they were just exposed to it, there's some of the most passionate people out there that they were just exposed to anything to spark that passion, to make them think, wow, I can overcome this. Then then maybe they would be well off or better off. Because I know that for some people they just don't they would always feel like I can't, to get this uncomfortable, I have to damn near kill myself. At least that's what you feel like, right? Because that's the hump that you feel like you got to get over in order to be better than what you are today. Today, if I get rejected, I'd be devastated. If I embarrass myself, I'd be devastated. It's only a moment, and yeah, somebody may laugh, or somebody may doubt you for that time frame. Yeah, you may look like that newbie that doesn't know what the hell they talking about. But everybody had to gain their experience points at some point. Nobody didn't come in there already an expert, already the know-it-all. Now, some people may come natural, but that doesn't mean that for you, with hard work, you can't become better. Because hard work beats talent any day of the week. If you feel passionate enough about it, put in the time. If you know this is something that's stopping you from being great, do the uncomfortable thing and get better. I don't like networking, but I know in order to get where I want to be in life, I have to learn how to network. Now, I'm comfortable networking in the military because that's my safe zone. I've been in the Navy for 11 years. But when it comes to networking in the real estate world, in the entrepreneurship world, that's not something I'm used to. That's not something I start off comfortable with. That's something gradually I have gotten more and more comfortable with, talking to people, meeting people. And it's actually a great experience because once you get your foot in the door and you start talking, gaining information, maybe even giving information back to people, you start to realize a lot of people are just like you. They got their own fears, they got their own doubts, but they're overcoming them every day, getting better and better. I want y'all to think about, the thing that I am striving towards, does it make me cry? Does it make me get emotional? Is what I'm passionate about, does it make me want to get up in the morning and that's the first thing that comes to my mind? Where will my family be if I do better in this situation? If I become more developed in my craft and my passion, if I change my ways, how will it benefit me and my family? Because I do owe it to my family. I owe it to myself. Always think about, how can I get better, and what is the next thing I have to do that's going to make me uncomfortable so that I can develop into a better person.